news on Sunrise. Coming up, government to lay new COCOBOD Bill before Parliament to guarantee farmers at least 70% of cocoa export price and drive more local cocoa processing.
Will introduce a new producer pricing mechanism that aligns producer price with movement in international cocoa price, exchange rate development, and other relevant market conditions.
And Energy Analyst faults 2026 media budget for silence on fuel levies.
It was quite unfortunate that we didn't hear anything on that. That would have reduced the amount that we buy fuel at the pumps.
Plus, government of Ghana targets fifth straight oversubscription as it returns to borrow 9.492 billion cedis domestically today following mid-year budget review. I am Michael Obodu. Details of these and many other stories lined up for you. Do stay tuned. And thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. And government is processing sweeping reforms in Ghana's cocoa sector, including a new law to replace the decades-old COCOBOD Act. The new bill will repeal the existing 1984 law and establish a modern governance and financing framework for the cocoa sector.
The reforms aim to guarantee cocoa farmers at least 70% of the free on-board price, introduce a new producer pricing formula, strengthen COCOBOD's finances, and ensure at least half of Ghana's cocoa is processed locally. The Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, announced the reforms while presenting the 2026 mid-year budget review in Parliament.
The proposed legislation will introduce a new producer pricing mechanism that aligns producer price with movement in international cocoa price, exchange rate development, and other relevant market conditions. We will also guarantee the cocoa farmer not less than 70% of gross free on board price.
Meanwhile, the Finance Minister announced that government has injected an initial 400 million cedis as capital for the Women's Development Bank. According to him, government awaits a banking license from the Bank of Ghana to commence operations.
Following its incorporation, government applied to the Bank of Ghana for the requisite banking license to enable the bank commence operations. Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of the capital requirement for licensing, the Ministry of Finance has deposited an amount of 400 million Ghana cedis into an account with the Bank of Ghana as the initial capital for the Women's Development Bank. Mr. Speaker, the Women's Development Bank is expected to commence full operations before the end of this year.
Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, during the mid-year budget review, however, reaffirmed government's commitment to fiscal discipline.
Now, meanwhile, Executive Director of the Africa Sustainable Energy Center, Engineer Justice Ohene Akoto, has expressed disappointment over the lack of key announcements in Ghana's 2026 mid-year budget review. Speaking after the presentation, he was worried that nothing was said about fuel pricing and, more importantly, about a review of levies affecting fuel prices.
The Executive Director of the Africa Sustainable Energy Center, Engineer Justice Ohene Akoto, noted that one major concern is the Dumso levy, which he had expected to be addressed.
We were expecting to hear that is also going to be part of the levies that has been taken out. I mean, the government mentioned after the question that there's going to be a review after some time. It was quite unfortunate that we didn't hear anything on that. That would have reduced the amount that we buy fuel, at the pump. So that was one. And then, in Ghana, anything that is attached to, fuel automatically attached to goods and services. So, if we had that levy removed, that would have been a cushion.
The Executive Director of the Africa Sustainable Energy Center, however, welcomed government announcement of a new 1,200 megawatt power plant in the 2026 mid-year budget review.
The government talking about the 1,200 megawatts plant that is coming on board. That is really good. At least it's going to, increase our total capacity as we have in Ghana. Now we see that the peak load is gradually meeting up with the capacity that we have. So that is going to give us a number of spinning reserves. But then one thing we didn't hear has to do with renewable energy integration. We are undermining climate change.
You heard the voice of the Executive Director of the Africa Sustainable Energy Center, Engineer Justice Ohene Akoto, ending that report. Now, still on the energy sector, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, says affordable and reliable energy is critical to strategic industrialization in Ghana. Speaking at an industry forum, AGI President Pharmacist Kofi Nsia-Poku said government and regulators to prioritize industrial protection in tariff settings to ensure Ghana's manufacturing sector can scale and create more jobs.
Strategic industrialization is the availability of affordable and reliable energy. Recognizing this, the AGI has remained steadfast in advocating for competitive electricity tariff regime that supports industrial production rather than constrains it. Through sustained engagement with the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition and the other key stakeholders, AGI is championing a tariff regime that reflects the realities of manufacturing and preserves the competitiveness of Ghanaian industries. As industries pursue growth, quality must remain at the center of everything we do.
So that was AGI President Pharmacist Kofi Nsia-Poku speaking there. Away from that, government of Ghana is back on the domestic market this week, seeking to raise 9.492 billion cedis across all three tenors following the presentation of the mid-year budget review. Today's borrowings cover the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day Treasury bills. This report has more.
Market watchers say the amount reflects government's continued reliance on short-term domestic financing to manage cash flow and roll over maturing obligations. The auction comes at a time when investor appetite for government paper has remained strong. The Treasury has recorded 4 consecutive oversubscription in previous weeks, and officials will now be hoping to secure a 5th straight oversubscription. Analysts attribute the sustained demand to relative high yields and improved investor confidence following the mid-year budget review, which outlined government's fiscal consolidation plans. The Finance Ministry has not signaled any change in its borrowing strategy, maintaining its focus on domestic resource as it works to stabilize the economy and reduce external pressures. Results of the auction will give a clear indication of market sentiment heading into the second half of the year.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. And on that note, let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 63 pesos. It gained 3 pesos. The British pound is selling at 15 cedis 50 pesos. It lost 2 pesos. The euro is selling at 13 cedis 24 pesos. It also recorded no change. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at a forex bureau near. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $100.34 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,049.90 per ounce, down by $80.35. Cocoa is trading at $5,301 per ton, down by $27.
And those were updates from the currency and the commodities market, bringing an end to the business news on Sunrise. For more stories, please check out our website, s3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe.